So I am here in my son's bedroom. I'm on his bed here. I have all these books laid out. And it's funny, I didn't think that I was gonna have a lot of books to share because it just didn't feel like it. I felt like we could have read more. But now that I look at it, I'm like, wow, this is gonna be a lot. So I am kind of glad, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know how long this video is gonna be. So I'm gonna try to be as brief as possible and just kind of get the video, get it going. Another thing is I cannot find my tripod to hold my camera, so I have to hold it and I don't have free hands. So we'll see how this video goes. But let me just get started with whatever's closest to me. I have here Frog and Toad, and I have the full set in one book. As you can see, it was well loved because it's getting all ripped. But here on the front, the contents, you can see each individual book and then the stories within each book, and then obviously they put all of them together in this one book. And so I just like how big the letters were, or the print was, and love the illustrations. And then obviously the stories themselves were so great and they were hilarious. I'll never forget when we first got this book and first started reading it, we were immediately just cracking up at the story. I think like the funniest one was this one, and when we first started reading it, this is the first one that my son wanted me to read it over and over and over. It was just such a funny story, and a lot of them are really funny. So such good writing, and the wording and everything is simple. Yeah, definitely recommend. I'm sure you've heard of it already, but if you have not and you have not bought this yet, please go get it. I cannot see anyone not liking these stories. Okay, so this next, we have a lot of sets too, book sets. So this next set are some Mickey Mouse books, and this is actually a set that I've had since I was a kid. So I don't know if there's a place to find this. While I'm editing this video, I'll look to see if there's a website, Amazon, anywhere where you can order these books. But these I do recommend because the stories are great, and each book teaches like some type of lessons. For example, the first book here is called Mickey's Alphabet Soup, and there's 18 books total. And so what happens is they get progressively like challenging, like the lessons do. So like in the beginning, they'll teach the ABCs, and then counting, and then if I pull the ones at the end, it talks about like the weather, and it talks about like the books will grow with them, like their age as they get older, and then their understanding of things. And when you put all the books together, you can see on the side it creates this picture here. So 1 through 9, the book 19 is for the parents, and it just kind of gives a lot of ideas of activities that you can do along with the book that you read. So you can see these are read and grow. As they are growing, they have activities that will progress with them along with the book. So just to get an idea of the titles here, like I said, it starts with the alphabet and then counting. There's color, shapes, a muffin search, can't remember exactly what that taught. World of Words, telling time was a really good one. So there's good variety of lessons. I really also appreciated Goofy Shapes Up. That one goes into health and fitness. It goes into being active, but also it talks about food, how to eat healthy. So he prepares for a race. And of course, it's silly and funny too, so it's just really enjoyable. I think the next books I'm going to show are some picture books. This one was really good. It's meant to read as a song. I've always liked books like that because I feel like it's even more engaging, and it captures their attention a little more too. So this one's Hey Little Ant. So I'm not gonna sing it, but I'll leave a link in the description of how this is supposed to be sang. And of course, you don't even have to sing it. You can just read it as normal, but it's like a dialogue. It's the kid having a conversation with an ant, and it just teaches empathy, you know, in this case for the ant. I love this book, the library book. It's the same idea where you can sing it. And I'll leave the song in the description, but you can sing along with this book as well. Yeah, it's just about going to a library, and I think it just does a really good job with bringing out like some well-known books, and then it just gives you like that moody vibe where, you know, the library, I like the aesthetic of how they illustrated the library, and then it just, I don't know, I really think it does a good job with that positive message of like the library is just something that is exciting and enjoyable, and yeah, lots of good illustrations, and the song is really catchy. So I really recommend this book. So you could see here's the music notes. Highly recommend. Okay, so you may be a little surprised what I say about Aesop's Fables. Obviously, it's very well known and a respected book for a reason. They teach a lot of good lessons. I just felt like for my son, they weren't the most... I think just the wording, because it's like written, you know, a while back, it's just a little difficult. It's actually kind of challenging for, you know, I know they're really short, and it gives like good opportunity for us to have a conversation. I can, you know, lead him to try to understand what the meaning is, but they're just a little advanced, I feel. And I don't know, just the stories were not the most, I didn't think they were that interesting. And there were a lot of the stories were very similar, I felt. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really have too much to say. Like, we didn't really have a desire to pull this book out. We read a few of the really good, well-known stories, and that was it. I didn't really read all of them to him yet, but I don't know, maybe in the future we'll pull it out and enjoy it and appreciate it more. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. I'm just, you know, being honest. This, I feel like, it was a little bit of a flop. So to counteract that, I'm going to go to this book that a lot of people might find more, you know, like a twaddle book, but it was very fun. And it's just one of those like, Where's Waldo type of books where, you know, he loves Spider-Man. So you have to look for these images down here, and you can see how challenging that could be. So it was really nice. I really got him thinking and using his little brain. And then of course there's like a little bit of, you know, reading. And then once he found, you know, all the items or whatever, then he can press this picture. I think the battery's going out. Let me see. Oh yeah, totally dead. Before it used to make like a little noise, like a static noise, but now it's totally dead. So obviously he used this book a lot and he enjoyed it. But yeah, it's just nice to kind of like challenge his mind, and you know, he has to really pay attention to the details. So yeah, I really like this book for him. I think it was really nice. I recommend it. All right, now I have the House at Pooh Corner books and the Winnie the Pooh book. These books were really great. I mean, I don't really have much else to say. Like, I think a lot of people are familiar with these books and don't need to be really told. Like, the writing is very well done. There's so much funny stories. I love the characters. I mean, it's just timeless. It's classic. I really, really love these stories. There are like a couple stories here and there that are kind of like, a little on the boring side, or, you know, I don't know, just not as captivating. But yeah, most of those stories are great. And I don't know where my poetry book is with Winnie the Pooh from the same author, but that one is so good too. I'll still link it in the description below. But there's just all kinds of poems, and my son, he really loves poetry actually. So, and this is a great author. So yeah, that book I recommend as well. Okay, so these next set of books are really old as well. I'm not sure how old. I want to say from the 90s. Okay, it says 93, so 90s. So these are mostly like the Muppets. Let me turn this around. This is the book set that I have. And there are a lot of like the Muppet characters. These teach a lot of lessons, but more so like basically building good character. That's what a lot of the stories are. But besides that, you know, that's obviously good for us as parents. That's something that appeals to us. But the stories themselves and the appeal to the kids is really good too. They have lots of illustrations throughout. My son was able to read this on his own. So, you know, the language is good. And then at the very end, you can have a discussion with them about the lesson. So obviously this book is about not giving up. There's, you know, the beloved characters in here, and they're really interesting stories. I really enjoy these stories. So let me give some examples of the different titles. Being Fair and Sharing, a book about sharing, Using Your Imagination, a book about love. Oh, this one is in here. Yes, this one was great too. Sorry, this video is like so out of order now. But yeah, this book was great. I got this book. It was like a recommendation online somewhere. It's so cute. This book is like written, what, like in the 60s or where's the date? 70s, 1974. But yeah, it's a classic. It's really fun. So yeah, this is a recommendation too. Arthur's Honey Bear. Okay, but anyway, yeah, Kermit, book about honesty. Okay, this one got slipped in here. This one's okay. A book about apologizing, responsibility. So yeah, I'll try to find these. Hopefully these are online somewhere. Okay, these next set of books was a miss. So, these are they're from Dan Gutman. I think he was like towards the right idea. So this is why we didn't like it. This is one of those stories where I think the author is trying to be a little too relatable to like young kids. There's that stereotype that kids don't like school, and you know, they have like those stereotypes at school where like the teachers are weird, or like the straight A student, she's such a nerd and she's a know-it-all and oh, I hate her, you know, like the parents, they kind of put those things that they should be encouraged. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like that outdated type of character, like that main character is the person that you relate with. But I think it was just a little too overdone. Because I get it. Sometimes you do feel those things, but like it's so overdone. Like this kid is just like too cool, and he's very sarcastic and just very like negative about school and, you know, about people. So I don't know. As a mom, I definitely didn't like it. But even my son, like surprisingly, I'd be reading to him and he'll just kind of be like, he didn't agree with what he would be saying, like about the straight A student or something. And I was like, yeah, you're right. You know, like that's not how we don't have to feel that way about people like that. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. I kind of just stopped reading them, but yeah, I don't recommend these. But if you're for that type of style of book, maybe you're not as wimpy as me. Then maybe you'll enjoy them. But yeah, I think this was kind of a miss for us. Okay, this next set is the Boxcar Children, books 1 through 4. So, it's a little out of order. So far we did pick up the Surprise Island one. We haven't read the other ones yet. We have read 2 Boxcar Children books, and I don't know where they are. Otherwise, I would show them in this video, but I will have the link in the description, of course. But it was the Bear Mystery, I believe it was called, where they go to Yellowstone National Park, and the Bee Mystery, where they go to like this bee farm and they have to solve why the bee stopped producing honey. All of these books teach things, like little things that you probably wouldn't even like think about, like how the beekeeper farms the bees and collects the honey. It was teaching about certain flowers. And then, you know, they're intriguing because you want to solve the mystery. And in this book, they are on an island for a summer. Their grandfather has a lake house, and they stay there. And, you know, this takes place in the 60s. So there's some things in here that, like, they have a little too much freedom, I feel. But those were different times. But yeah, there's like this mysterious man on the island. He's really nice, but I feel like in real life, you know, you just can't trust anybody like that. But yeah, thankfully, like, he's a really nice person. But we are almost done with the book, and we're going to discover who he really is. He's kind of concealing his identity for the moment. I don't think he's a bad guy. He, I guess, was missing. He went missing, and then he wants to make sure he's fully recovered before he, you know, goes back to his family or something like that. Anyway, throughout the book, they learn a lot of just random things like history. Like, they uncovered some Indian tools, like they were digging up, and they also explore the island, and they come across like different types of birds and just different things that they're like, these are very capable children. And I feel like they give a lot of good lessons too on just like how to be a kid and how capable kids can be and what they can learn. Like Henry, the oldest, he knows how to build and make shelves and tables and things like that. And then I believe Jessie, she knows how to cook. She's really good at cooking, and it goes into detail about like the things that she'll cook. So like if your kids have any interest like that, I feel like it inspires, you know, like you're like, wow, I could do that. Like the younger Violet, she finds a violin, and then the mysterious man like starts teaching her how to play the violin, you know, things like that. And then like Benny is just like that little kid. He's only 6 years old, and my son relates to him, but he's a good kid. They're all just really good to each other, good siblings. And I just love the Boxcar Children. And thankfully, my son really, really loves these books too. So obviously, we're on this third book, almost finished with it. And I cannot wait to read some more, the rest of these. Okay, guys, we're like a little more than halfway. I hope that you're finding these interesting and helpful. So let's keep trekking along. I am getting hot. I think I'm gonna turn on the fan. Okay, so if you see my hair blowing, it's not for like film purposes. It's just I was getting hot and the fan is on now. Okay, so the next one that's kind of a miss was Beverly Clearly, Beezus and Ramona. So this is from when I was a kid. I've owned this book since I was a little girl. I started reading it to him and we didn't finish it. We didn't even get too far. I think, so there was this other book that I read that was more of Ramona's point of view, and I felt like that one was a little better because she's the main character, so you kind of like feel for her. But this one was more of Beezus's, the older sister's point of view, and I felt like from her point of view, Ramona was a little bit too much of like a menace. She was just a little bit too much of that like little sister. She gave Beezus a hard time all the time, and you know, a little on the bratty side, and I don't know, it was just kind of hard to read through it. But I do think that Beverly Cleary is a good author, and I think that if we maybe give another one of the books a chance, it'll be good. Also, the movie that came out with Selena Gomez and Joey King, I love that movie. I love Ramona in that movie. Those are my thoughts though on this particular book. This next book that I'm going to share is The Complete Brambly Hedge. So again, there's different stories and they compiled it all in one big fat book. The illustrations are amazing. Look at that. So cozy. What I like about this is that they have these stories that literally are titled with the season. And I love that. So we did read the spring story while we were in the springtime. And that's the only story we read. It was pretty lengthy and he seemed to have enjoyed it. So I look forward to reading more. I think before we get into the summer story, we're going to read one more here that I felt like fit the spring season again, and I can't remember which story that was. But yeah, I want to read that with him next. But yeah, I do recommend this so far. The Wind in the Willows. So this book, I love it so much. But I will say the language is pretty advanced. It's honestly, I feel like this is like for the adult child at heart. This is great for adults. Kids, I feel like it's a little slow, a little too slow for my son. Even though the stories I feel like would be great for kids his age, but just the writing is just so rich. And I did read it aloud to him many times, and he sat there and listened. But my son is very, I don't know, I feel like he's unique in that way. Like, I don't think most kids, even like my second son who is 2, as he grows older, I don't see him sitting and listening to a story like this. My older son can really sit and listen, and I think a lot of it though was going over his head. He didn't really, I think he was able to pick up a few things here and there, but I don't think he fully could understand what this the story was about. But it's hard to say if I recommend it for a kid his age. I do say yes, try and go for it and see how they do. Just because it is so beautiful, and I think a lot of adults would love it themselves. It's just a great book to pick up for those cozy nights and really just slow down. And I was even thinking actually that an audiobook would be really good for this, because I think when you read it and you listen to the characters in those like British accents, and you listen to the characters and their personalities, you know, come out in those audiobooks, I think that would be even better than if you were to read it aloud to your kids yourself, unless you're just like an amazing reader like that and you can do like the different voices and stuff, almost like an actor, like if you could be like an actor. Other than that though, yeah, I think an audiobook would be a great way to kind of like take this down to that child's level. So I'm gonna try that and then see how that does. Overall, I would recommend this book. The Wild Robot. This is a big one. This is one of the more modern classic books that have come out. And obviously the movie came out, and the movie, you know, was a big hit. We read, I want to say up to like halfway, which is quite a bit because there's, you know, it's a pretty thick book. What I liked about the book were the chapters were really short, so it kind of did get, you know, the story going. It was like quick paced. It was a lot of action. There was always something going on, and then it was like, okay, on to the next adventure, you know, thing. And then of course it teaches you about the animals. It's very informative when it comes to like the wildlife, the mountain environment. So in that sense, I mean, this book is great, but for some reason, my son, it didn't captivate him. I had to like really push him to say like, let's keep reading the book, let's keep reading, and I could just tell he didn't want to. My arm is getting tired. I need my tripod. Yeah, this, I feel like it actually was a miss. This book I would say was a miss. I mean, obviously we didn't even finish it, and I hardly ever not finish a book. Like, I'll still push through so that we could say at least we read all the way through, and it just was kind of hard to do. I feel though that that's not a very common review. I think a lot of, if you were to look on YouTube for reviews for this book, I would think a lot of kids love it. I don't know if it's maybe his age, like maybe I should wait until he's a little older. I mean, it was pretty simple though. Like the language, I mean, it was put very simple for his age, I felt. But yeah, something about the writing, I guess, it just wasn't as captivating as like other books that I've mentioned. So I don't know, guys. This is just the honest truth about how my son took it. So there you go. Okay guys, here is the Mercy Watson books. This case is totally tore up, but I'm gonna turn this camera around to show you the first 6 books. Okay, so they're out of order, of course. But if you haven't heard of Mercy Watson, this is another like modern author here. She wrote a lot of good stories, like The Tale of something Dorado. I don't know. I'm gonna put the title here. But yeah, she did Mercy Watson. She has a lot of Mercy Watson books. So these are just the first 6 book set. And these are so good, you guys. My son would pull this out and read it by himself all the time, especially when we first got them. He would just read them by himself. Like, he loved these books so much. You know, as you can see with the, you know, big wording and everything, it's very simple, very appropriate for his age. And they're just so, they just give you a good feeling. These, as I say that, you see this like mad person. But yeah, they just give you this good feeling, and they're just very positive and just so like quirky and really silly. And it's just, I don't know, they're just so, I like these books, but my son liked them even more than I did. Like, I can read it once through and be like, okay, I read it. It was fine. It was silly. But I wouldn't want to pick it up again. That's just me. But my son did. He loved it for some reason. I think this is a great chapter book, especially for like those independent reading. I think, you know, kids his age would love this type of book. Like, it's not too challenging. You know, the stories are just really interesting and funny. So I just think they're really enjoyable. So this was definitely a hit. Okay, here we are with Roald Dahl. Did I butcher that name? I should know how to pronounce Roald Dahl. He is like an amazing author. Everybody knows about him. So we read a few of these, not all of them. We read Fantastic Mr. Fox. I would say that was a good book. We read it all the way through. It was really short, so it was easy to get through. It was a good pace. There's the animal characters. It's nice because it's almost like they're at a race. They're going through this race for life, and it's like a survival story. I think for a boy especially, like, they would like this, and they want to like see the main character win. They're rooting for him, and it's like keeps them on the edge of their toes a little bit, or the edge of their seat, however that saying goes. So yeah, this was a good book. It wasn't like the most amazing book. Like, in my opinion, I probably wouldn't read this on my own if I was a kid his age. But yeah, this was a hit for my son. Okay, what else did we read here? We read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Oh no, this is the second one. Let me see this one. It's out of order, of course. So this one was amazing. So good. This is one of the best books I think he's ever read. Like, the characters, the funniness. I mean, this guy's so funny, those poems. The story is just so good. The writing, the pace, there's so much going on in this, and it's just, I don't think there's much to say. I think all of you know the story, but if not, yes, please go get this book. It's so good. I think any kid with any personality would love this book. So good lessons in here too. If you know, you know. Okay, so James and the Giant Peach we also read. He watched the movie like a long time ago and barely remembers it. The movie's really dark. But you know what? This book is pretty dark too, especially in the beginning with his abusive aunts. At one point, like, I had to really read over that part of the book quickly and get to the part where like he starts to get out of that situation, because I can tell that he didn't want to leave off on that part of the book on the negative note, and I had to tell him like, oh, don't worry, this is just temporary. Things will get better for him. So, you know, that's something to keep in mind if your child is, you know, really sensitive like that. This book was, I would say, I mean, okay, let me put it this way. Overall, yes, it's a hit. But, you know, there's just some things in it that's like, it's kind of weird. And then I think the weirdest part for me personally was the Cloudmen. That's not in the movie. That's just in this book. The Cloudmen was kind of weird. It's a little too weird for me. That's just a personal opinion. But yeah, the story is good overall, and it has a happy ending. So yeah, this book was good. I would say it's a hit. think that was the only three that we read. And then we did start reading this one. We've tried reading this twice, and both times we did not carry on. My son didn't say he didn't like it, but just for myself personally, I had a hard time trying to pick it up again. And like, I just didn't have, it's a little bit too quirky for me, like just too out there. Like they go to space in the beginning of the book. The elevator, you know how at the end of the movie and in the end of the book, you know, they exit the Wonka factory through that glass elevator. But then in this book, the glass elevator takes them to space, and then they go on this, like, I think the moon, and on the moon there's like this hotel. It's just really, really like too much, like too eccentric, I guess. Like it's just too much. It did not, I didn't find myself wanting to know what's gonna happen next. I don't know. That's just me. So if anyone's read this and they feel like it's worth getting through that and to read this story, like if it gets better, let me know and I will try to pick it up again for the third time and read through it. But yeah, so far, yeah, this was kind of a miss. Okay guys, I am getting on my last set of books here. I'm so excited. There's probably even more books that we read and enjoyed, but because of the move, if you've seen like recent videos, we had recently moved, and there's still books in boxes that I don't even know, they're like high up in the garage. And so I'm probably missing like a few books, but not so much. But anyway, so this is the last set of books here. I'm coming to the floor here because this box set is really ripped, and like if I try to pick it up like I did earlier today, it's just gonna fall apart. So I'm gonna turn the camera around now and share this book set. Okay, so you can see this is really ripped up and barely holding this together, but these are the Magic Treehouse books. So we got the full set here. It goes up to book 28. Some of them are out of order, of course. So we have read, I would say, a little less than half of all these books, which is really good. I mean, he really liked these books. And this is another book set that I would say he was able to read on his own. We read a few of them together, but I had seen him on his own time, like picking the books up and reading them by himself. So it wasn't too challenging of like the language. And they're just so interesting. They're very educational. Each book has like a different regarding like history or regarding geography, regarding animals. I don't know, just different things. So let me get one for as an example. Did we read this one? Okay, so we read as an example the Amazon book. That one is really exciting because there's like a bunch of big animals in the Amazon, very scary animals. So that one kept us on the edge of our seat. And then there was like, let's see, we did not read that one. Like this one is about the moon as an example. So even astronomy. There's just so many good. A ghost town. So, you know, historic animals. More animals. This one is like a geography book because it's talking about you know, Asia, volcano, so earth science. These would be great to pull out when we go over these kind of topics throughout the school year. Vikings, so you get an idea of just the different topics that they go over. The Olympics, Greece, the Titanic, you know, historical event. And yeah, you get the idea. There's just a lot of these great topics, very educational. But yeah, they are very interesting and your kids will love it. I'm almost guaranteeing that. Okay guys, that was a lengthy one. But if you stuck around to the very end, you're amazing. So thank you for watching this video, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you disagree with any of my review, you are entitled to your opinion, and please let us know, let other people know what you thought, because maybe that'll help others to see if they can get a different perspective, and then they can make a better decision on whether they want to purchase books, because these books are pretty expensive. Of course, you can check them out in the library or something too. So that's the end of the video. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!